Yo, what's up, YouTube? So last night I watched a special on Nike, like Inside Nike or whatever, and I've seen it in part before. I didn't really get to see the whole thing, but last night on CNN I was able to watch the whole thing. Every Sunday or so, CNN, does this little profile on some big, multi-million, billion-dollar business. So I was able to catch it. And they were just talking about Nike's success and how it's pretty much, just a world power, and I forgot the numbers, but I'm watching it and they're talking about their rise to success, and I'm like, okay, they gave, and I expected this, but they gave little attention to the real reason to why they got to power. They talk about marketing and they talk about, being creative. But to me, there's something that happened with Nike that separated itself from Adidas and from Reebok and from other, I guess, more international sports apparel and shoe type of companies, right? And what Nike did, the only reason why we know Nike to be Nike and why Nike's kicking ass is because it was able to link itself to black culture, hip-hop culture, or whatever. If you really think about it, it's like if I wrote a book on modern black culture, I could not write the book without having a chapter talking about Nike and the impact that Nike has had, right? How many stories did we hear in the late 80s and early 90s about young black men getting killed over their Jordans? How many, right? I know that inspired Akeem Olajuwon. I remember he came out with his own, shoe. He was one of the first people to come out with the whole, cheaper shoe that you sell at more so at a Target or a store like that, simply because kids was just getting shot over their Jordans. Right? I even got jacked for a pair. There were some of my team Jordans in 98, 99. They broke into my locker and stole my kicks. I remember that too. Had to go home barefoot. You look at gangster culture or whatever, what are they wearing? Air Force Ones, Nike Cortezes, something like. So what Nike did was it attached itself to that, right? You look at the rise of, just the whole idea of the super basketball athlete, whether it's Chris Webber, and y'all remember the Fab Five, and they went to Michigan, they had the Black Sox, the Nike Zone, of course you had Jordan, you had Charles Barkley, and other prominent superstars all wearing Nikes, and that's when black culture really blew the hell up. You look at the 80s and the 90s, and it was just like, man, we're fascinated with black culture. Right, and Nike was right there. If you look at all the pictures and all the documentaries, they got a Nike hat on, they got some Nike shoes on, and that's what did it, right? Of course, Jordan is the front runner, right? If anything, Nike owes everything that they have pretty much to Jordan. But in a nutshell, Jordan is more so the guy that represents this whole movement on how they had attached themselves to that and kind of rode it into success. And that's really all what happened. So I'm watching this documentary and I'm like, yo, they BSing. Don't tell me this. Oh, we advertise here, we advertise there. Take away black culture. Take away the black athlete from Nike. And they're not too far off from Adidas, Nike, New Balance, just in terms of functional athletic wear. I'm trying to go running, or I'm trying to play this sport. Like Nike, there's no reason to why Nike would just be so dominant. But when you attach yourself to a culture that seeped its way into pop culture, what's going to happen? It was cool. When black culture blew up 80s and 90s, it was cool. Everybody wanted a piece of it. Black culture was pretty much commodified. And Nike was one of those people that commodified black culture. Hey, you want to be black, you want to be hip-hop, you want to be urban. Hey, go to your Foot Locker, get you a pair of Air Force Ones or some, Jordans or the Pennies or, the Charles Barkleys or whatever you want to get, and you'll have a piece of black culture. And that's what they did. And, I'm watching and I'm like, it's just another example. People talk about how, Chris Style and Tommy Hilfiger and some of those other super name brand type people, never gave black people any credit, even though they made so much money out of black people, especially Tommy Hilfiger, right? If it wasn't for shows like New York Undercover and the rappers walking around with the Hilfiger on, with the lion on the chest, nobody would know of Hilfiger, right? But you never get any credit. But a lot of people don't focus on Nike, because out of all those people, out of all those brands, and whether they're apparel or, you know, some sort of jewelry or some sort of alcohol beverage, Nike by far is alone in terms of the amount of money they have made off of attaching itself to black culture, hip-hop culture. Right? We have done more than Nike than any other business on this earth. Everything about Nike, like, it's ridiculous. You strip away, think about it. Think about the boom. Just think about everything that was going on with the NBA and how it blew up, college basketball, just hip-hop culture, rap in general. Nike was there. And it's unfortunate to see that, you know, how many other entertainers and athletes didn't get their fair share of the cut. Because that was the draw. Even now, people know Nike. Why? Because of some basketball shoes, some retro shoe. Oh, these are the new Kobe Bryants, this, that, and the third. It makes its money off of attaching itself to black athletes. Simple as that. They can talk about what they do in terms of being innovative in this market, that market. Regardless, it doesn't matter. If young black boys is wearing it, people is going to wear it. End of story. If they see it in the video, if the next basketball player is wearing a pair of Nikes, they're going to wear it. So all the other sales that they may get off of a running shoe or some shoe not related to basketball or hip-hop is just trickle down, right? I'm sure if you took the numbers in terms of how much Nike makes off of shoes that aren't quote-unquote basketball or hip-hop, whether it's, you know, an Air Force One or a Dunk or a Jordan or, you know, whatever, and you compare those shoes that they make to, you know, Adidas and, you know, other New Balance and other companies, there's probably no gaping difference. Oh, Nike's clearly standing out. No, not at all. Matter of fact, people who are hardcore in their sports don't even mess with Nike like that. If you're a runner, you're not wearing Nikes, you're wearing New Balance. So in a nutshell, it's important that people understand how we can contribute, okay, to the economy, and how our dollars make other people rich. You know, people say we don't have any economic power. No. Because we do. Obviously, we have the ability to make companies, billion-dollar companies, but at the end of the day, we don't understand how to capitalize off of it. If you're a rapper or anybody in the entertainment industry, don't step foot outside your house without Nike cutting you a check for wearing their shoe. It's as simple as that. You know, if I was notable or famous and I was wearing a pair of J's, Nike would be paying me. Oh, you want me to wear your Jordans? Pay me. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, I'm going on to the store. Yeah, pay me. Especially now with the whole TMZ culture, the whole fascination with celebrities, good and bad. I mean, everything's a walking billboard. Free publicity. You don't believe me? Turn on any documentary from the 80s, 90s, whatever, where it's talking about gang violence or just black culture or hip-hop, and you will see Nike all over it. You could swear to God that Nike sponsored whatever documentary you're watching. Nike sweater on, Nike Cortez on, Jordans on, Air Force Ones on, Charles Barkley's on, Air Force Twos or something, right? It's all there. So anyways, I just thought it was interesting to see that, and just to see how they barely really skimmed over the real reason to why they're so successful and why they're such a superpower when it comes to just the whole shoe game across the world, right? You know, it's just so, like, I was just like, wow, they're really gonna act like it was really something that they did and that their product was so hot, when in reality they were just the number one group to capitalize off of the whole idea of black culture being so popular with the 80s and the 90s. So anyways, hopefully other people get to see the documentary, and if you did, tell me how you feel. You guys take it easy. God bless.